Welcome to the podcast. Max, Freiler, Rachel, Babaganov, Baba G, and me. 3 Wim Hof instructors in the house. We just finished a retreat here in the Waldviertel, where you live, Max, at least for parts of the year. And yeah, let's just start with some reflections on the retreat. So I would be curious, Max, you did so many retreats already. When you look back on this one, what was for you unique about this retreat? What insights did you gain, or what echo is alive for you?
So, yes, the first thing that comes to my mind is that it was very different than my other retreats. And I think this all the time, like always when I think back about the retreat, I have the impression it was very different than my last one. And yeah, this is really good. So usually then it was a good retreat because it was alive, it was transformative. And I could definitely feel this transformation happening on this weekend. And it's not my transformation, of course, it's also my transformation, I think, of the whole group. But you can even better observe it with the other people around you. Yes, for example, there was this one participant, Stefan, and it's so interesting. You meet the guys on the first day, and of course, you feel something, you feel each other out. And then when on the last day, you can go back again to this observation. What do you feel then? And it's a completely different energy in the whole group. Like the faces changed, the way they express themselves changed, their authenticity. It's different. They suddenly open up, they share, and they laugh, and they say there are things that I cannot understand, and they were just feeling so good and happy. I was listening to him. He was talking to his daughter, and he said, "Yeah, I'm so happy," and especially because with Stefan, it's so obvious because I felt like, whoa, it will be difficult. You see how will he react? When we talk, let's say, about more spiritual things and so on. But yes, he opened up so much, right. And I projected a lot of things on him also. So this was also my biggest transformation then, to see, whoa, it's just it's also my own projection on him. And yeah, this is so beautiful to see how it changed and what can you do actually in 2 days. And it seems like it goes really quick. You're so in the moment, but you reflect back on what happened, and it was a long, long weekend.
Oh yeah, I can definitely relate with that. It felt like a week. Just the amount of things that we did in this short time. Like we went to the sweat lodge. We did like underwater training stressing our CO2 levels, getting into high levels of stress, and learning to deal with that. We worked with emotions, with breath work. We went into the tipi, we went into nature. Like, so many things happened. It's really incredible. I feel really it was very, very rich experience. And for me also, it was really amazing to do it together with you, because we met like 4 years ago in the instructor's course, and I immediately felt like a good connection with you on the conversations. And I feel like we had several attempts also to do something together, and somehow it never worked out. Like there was Corona or like other stuff in the way, and like maybe it needed some time to get the apple ripe. And now the apple was ready to fall, and I felt like it fell in a good place. Yeah, it was really great to work together with you. I really, really appreciated that, because it gives me so much inspiration. I've done so many workshops and retreats on my own, but to work together with someone who does like so much other practices outside of the Wim Hof method, it's just like very, very enriching. So I'm just beyond grateful. For me, like, didn't feel like work. It was just like full of meaning and learning, and I felt like being a student actually myself. So yeah, that's what stands out for me from this experience.
Thank you for the words. Can I say something?
Yeah. I also want to ask Rachel about her unique experience.
Maybe you can go first.
Just
But
real
like,
quick.
Yeah.
sure.
Just to this. This was also one of the first things that came into mind, but I took the different route. But this working together, and it's so much more relief, and I think that's why the retreat was also so powerful. I benefited so much from it. Yes, also having your support, and also of course your support, Rachel. Yes, and learning also so much from you. I also felt, it's so good just to listen, and I could appreciate so much actually what I am doing, like the service I provide, because I was thinking like, wow, you provide such a great service, and I felt so much gratitude after being, let's say, in your lessons, in the retreat, and also feeling okay, anytime there is someone who has my back for sure, and I think this relaxes me more. I can conserve more energy, and I can be also more relaxed, and I think the result is a better experience for everybody. Yes, so yes, I can only recommend it to anyone, like to start collaborations, and to share the knowledge in between. This is I know there sometimes, I know it for myself, like I felt a lot of resistance with this, but for me it really feels it's the way of, like, when you grow together, when you share together, you go way beyond what you even think you can do. Yeah.
Okay, just a small thing that comes up for me for this is also like, it breaks a little bit the paradigm for me of like the classical macho man doing it alone, right? And going from there to collaboration and not feeling threatened by each other, but like being like brothers standing side by side, having a similar direction and working together. It's just like very, very, it really touches my heart. It's a really good feeling. So Rachel, I want to ask you, because you're also a Wim Hof instructor, and you also like were teaching already many retreats. And in this retreat, you had more the role of a participant. And of course, because I think it's just your nature to help a lot, you want to help always. So of course you helped a lot, but also you experienced it from the perspective as a participant. Yeah, and also you were the only woman in the retreat. There were otherwise just men. I don't know if this was meaningful to you, but just like, how was it unique for you?
Wow, so many questions in one question. Yeah, okay. How was it for me? I mean, it was such a unique experience, and I feel a lot of gratitude because the way you guys approach it is so unique, and the two approaches work so well together. I feel like Max this weekend pushed me past any limits that I ever imagined I could go past, and having like the group there also allowed for it. So for example, in the water training, like, we were doing some crazy shit, really, like going underwater and holding your breath and doing it in the cold also under pressure for me was really challenging. And I saw after 3 days of doing it actually that I can do it. And today I was driving with Michael and I'm learning how to drive stick. And I felt how that transmitted because I was so much more calm in that practice. And I saw the depth of the practice, that if you practice dealing with stress, you can actually use that in other situations in life. So that was really interesting for me. And then Michael's approach of like bringing in deep relaxation and mindfulness, it's such a great pairing because like you have the intensity, and then in the intensity you also have like, okay, coming back to yourself, coming back to the breath, also like being mindful in what you're doing and being aware of what you're doing. So it's an amazing pair, and I'm so lucky to be able to learn from you guys. And as the only woman, there were moments where I felt like I cannot do this, but actually in the group I felt so supported that it was a really cool feeling.
Awesome. Yeah, I think there's already so much to unpack just from this little introduction. So, I would like to speak a little bit about this underwater training. I've done it for the first time, and how that relates to other stress situations. And then also it was a topic several times before, the playing with different tastes. For example, like you said, of like really strong intensity, where you really go to your limit and feel like I'm fighting really for life right now. And then something very subtle, just sitting, feeling, observing. So to go to these different places. And yeah, so let's maybe start a little bit with this underwater training. So Max, you learned it, and from Laird Hamilton, I think.
Inspired me.
He inspired you, and you also developed your own approach with it. So maybe tell us, like, how was it for you in the beginning, the practice, and which value could you see in it, and how did it develop from there?
Yes. So, in contrast to the cold, the water was always an element where I felt very, very good. I was in the water, I think, as a child a lot, and I always did diving stuff in the water. I remember in the Winter Boys Choir we had a pool. This was also the reason why I wanted to go to the boarding school with 7 years, because I thought, oh, I want to stay there. I want to go to the pool in the evening. And in the pool, I was diving, like long diving, you know, like go as far as you can. And I already, I remember really clearly, like this completely at the end, when you go to the limit, it changes your consciousness. It's a really transcending experience. And I don't know, like, this was already as a child. It was really interesting for me. And also with the breathing, I remember now, we were standing, I think a lot of people did it, a lot of children do this. We were standing in the wall and we were hyperventilating actually. And then somebody, or the whole group came up and they were pressing the chest up. Then you passed out. Like we completely passed out. And I remember like it's really like a psychedelic trip. You come back and you don't know what's going on. It's really crazy actually. So, yes. So something with the breath and with the water was seemingly always there. And in 2018, I think, yes, I flew over to California. I wanted to learn about the water training. I saw it, and that Laird Hamilton is doing something like that because, you know, I knew him like from the surf community and so on. And I thought, whoa, there's this opportunity. So I thought, whoa, I just go there and I want to learn from him. So I stayed there at his house. It was really cool. Like, it was a cool group of people, like many different like special forces guys and trainers, coaches, like a really intense group. And yes, and then we went through this, and Laird was also saying like we're just, I don't know, this is just to give you inspiration. Like you have to adapt because now we have this pool. You will go to different pools, so you have to adapt anyways to your own thing. This also happened. Like I was looking for a pool, and at first, of course, the most pools are pretty shallow. So I thought, then I started researching how can I do this stress training, the drown proofing training, the CO2 training, raising the CO2 levels. This automatically causes high levels of stress inside of us. You can just test it really easily. You hold the breath, and you will see. After a few seconds, you feel tremendous stress, you know. And yes, I found several ways. Oh, it's actually, you can do it anywhere, really anywhere. It doesn't matter how deep the pool is. You just need to change the positions, make it more difficult, change, adapt. And also here in the
For this?
Yes.
Can you maybe explain a little bit like which exercises you could do? Just that people get like a little bit more of an idea what this is, this underwater CO2 training.
Yes. Also, we will link a video to a YouTube video, so we have a 1-minute video where you can also really see what's going on there. I think that's maybe even better because it's hard to imagine. But you know, very simple things like taking a really heavy rock and just walking through the water, for example. Or taking a heavy rock and just sitting down. Or taking a very light rock and try to sit down. This is even harder. because you need to exhale completely. So yes, this is probably a good way to start. And also, of course, don't do it alone, because the water is the real shit. If you make a mistake in the water, you pay for it. So be very mindful about it. And what I like, because you mentioned it, like this different tastes and the intensity, but also the very soft practices, which are so important. And yes, by the way, Michael is also they're all like really intense guys, he's going really for it. I also want to say that, like, not to make a wrong impression.
Mindful
yeah, definitely not.
You're Sylvester Stallone.
No. And in the water, you can actually find both. And I also find both in the ice, in the water, in the heat. And I think you can benefit tremendously from these really stressful situations when you go in there, but you start being very mindful of what is happening, the changes in the body. This will make you really understand on a very deep level how these things influences you, what they do for you, how can you actually benefit from them, because it doesn't really matter what you do now. Of course, it's cool to have fun and so on, but it's the most important thing is how does it help me in my everyday life? Mm-hmm. So this is always what I'm focused on. How can this help me in my everyday life? Because the real practice is the everyday life. I know, like being a good human. Like, how can I deal with the stress from a dog, from my partner, from my environment? Because I think there's no meaning in doing these practices when I cannot translate them into my everyday life. And I think this is really, I think the intention is very, very important, how you approach these kind of practices. I know many people, you can go into an ice bath and it can really desensitize you also in a certain way. And you can also go into an ice bath and become more sensitive. And it's the intention you go in. From the outside, it might look like the same thing. But what is actually happening inside might be completely different. So I think this is something you can really start observing, and you will benefit from it in everything you do. So it's not just what are you doing, also like how are you doing it, and of course also why are you doing it, like in which direction do you want to go, and what is your motivation for doing any kind of practice. Because you can become the best at something, but you can also use these practices to try to become a good human, or to find some peace inside of you. And this is a completely different approach than, for example, becoming good at something. Which is also really cool, Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But just, I think it's a matter of, are you aware of what am I following? Mm-hmm. Because then you will also understand, am I following something that serves me, or that I find valuable, or do I follow something that was, I don't know, that was kind of put into my head, and I never asked it.
Right. Yeah, beautiful. So many things to unpack again.
Gold nuggets.
Gold nuggets. Yeah. The first thing that comes to my mind is like what you just said. Like, where is this leading? Right? What's the end result of these practices? Mm. And what comes to my mind is like Stephen Covey, who wrote the 7 principles of effective people, or something like this. And like one of the principles is having the end in mind before you begin. Mm. Like, where do you want to go with this, right? Mm. And I find it beautiful to point it out that the stress training that is also done by special forces in order to make them able to keep thinking and acting smart in really high intensity situations like war. Mm-hmm. That it's not just for them, like also other people can use these tools in order to deal with normal stress and just have more peace in life. Like you said, for example, in having a fight with your partner, or someone's driving behind you and wants to pass you, and you cannot drive stick yet and have to practice, and they're slow, right? So stuff from outside is coming, but actually, like also, I think what scares us is the material that through the outside trigger is rising up within us. And then we get stressed about our own adrenal levels, about our own emotions, and we resist them and fight them, and this is the actual stress. And for me personally, I feel like staying in the water and observing these walls coming up, like the term from Andrew Huberman he uses for ice bathing, observe the walls that are coming when you're in the ice bath. And I feel really with the CO2, it's very clear, like there's this wall coming, like you're down on the pool, you have the rock on your laps, and you know I have to stand up and I have to walk back. It will take some time, but I fucking need to breathe now. And then this fear is really like coming up, right? The wall. And you're like, and in this situation, it really does not help to freak out and bring tension to the body, because you will only use up more oxygen and produce more CO2. The only thing that works is like to accept this, in this feeling, and at the same time relax all the muscles you don't need right now, and just do what is necessary and not more and not less. And I think that's really well transferable to other situations. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, like, because when you speak about this, it makes me think about the space holding practice, because I really see actually a lot of similarities now when you talk about the water training, that it's actually a lot like going into emotions. And I just thought at one point to maybe speak about the space holding also.
What comes up for you? Like what similarities do you see there?
Or how would you explain the space holding? Because I think many people they will not know what is it.
You want me to explain it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the space holding is actually something that Vivian Dittmar taught Michael, and we've been practicing it. And the idea is that one person is holding space for another person, just by feeling yourself, creating room. The other person then goes inside and feels what comes up for them. And it's basically a mindfulness exercise on feeling your body, but at the same time, maybe allowing whatever that wants to arise. And oftentimes there are emotions that are coming up. And when you have someone holding space for you, it creates a bigger container so that if an emotion arises that you usually maybe couldn't deal with, which is for me similar as going into the water, there's not enough oxygen and you feel like, oh fuck, I can't do this. But then there's another person there. So it opens the space and you can do it, and you can feel emotions that otherwise probably would be too challenging to deal with on your own. That was the carryover that I saw.
Yeah, I feel like also similarities in this situation of the CO2 rising up, because you have this a little shake that's coming when the stress is rising, contraction coming up. It's like a ripple. The same ripple is coming also when you cry. It's shaking you, and you resist this shaking, rippling movement. Another way where it happens is like after the cold, when you're really shivering, right? And you resist that, but actually it's good. It's transformative. Or doing a push-up very slowly, what we also practiced. So there's always this like shaking, like bringing a little bit like chaos and fear, but like actually if you trust this shake, it will work out well.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about that, Max?
Yeah, I think it speaks to life a lot, and this is exactly the really important observations you can make when doing these practices. And it's really interesting, like this kind of shake or this really chaotic movements that appear. They're actually very efficient, and when you don't resist it and you kind of go out of the way with your mind of how something should look like, or is this right or is this wrong, then you will, I think I have this feeling, it actually transforms you. Like there's an energy passing through your body, and of course a strong energy can transform you in a big way, and it can also destroy you in a big way. That's why, yes, I also think you should be really careful with intense practices, because of course, like anything else in life, it works on both sides. And that's why I'm also like, I think it makes a lot of sense to build it up very gradually, and to make the people understand that it's so important, just that you understand like what's the right intensity for me right now. And this is for sure not the right intensity that the person next to this person has. And by understanding this, you get the best out of it. You can get in this unbelievable moment of transformation. And maybe from the outside it looks like nothing. But the more you can, I think, understand this, the easier it will get to focus on your own process. And not losing yourself in where I should be or what is the other person doing too much. And I think it's a kind of it's very difficult today because we are often, we are a little bit desensitized or very high stimulated in many ways. So we want to do the very, very cool things, which of course they're really cool also, but also not understanding that I can have this really cool experience right now if I really focus on myself and I forget my imagination of what I want or what I want to do or what I should do now or how it should look like, Yes, you also reminded me of something. It's this in the water and through the lack of oxygen, you cannot breathe, you cannot take more oxygen in, or you can exhale CO2, but you cannot get O2 in. Every movement in the water is a really, really nice reflection of your own efficiency and also your reaction. It's not only the movement, of course, also your mind, like the thoughts, you can really feel in the water how much energy the thoughts take. Mm-hmm. And of course, also contractions. Because when you contract, when you get stressed, you don't really enhance your situation. Mm-hmm. And then you understand on a really practical level, on a feeling level, on the direct experience, whoa, when I relax, I have the best chances. Mm-hmm. This is, you already summed it up very well. This is why I think the special forces use the water training. Yes.
Yeah, a very direct thing that comes to my mind when you speak about this is the everyday life and the unnecessary tension that I carry around with myself. And through practicing with you, I become more aware of it, right? And it's such simple things like writing emails or answering emails and then observing the body, how it tenses up. Mm-hmm. Right? And this tensing is what sucks the energy out. And in order to have more energy, sometimes we think I should sleep more, which is probably right, or do more exercise. It's also cool, but the simple thing to not waste energy in all these situations where it's not necessary, I think it's a huge source really of energy. To rest when you can actually rest and not waste your energy.
Something else? Mm-hmm. I think this is the most important point. Remembering yourself in the daily life. Now this is the ice bath, or now this is the lack of oxygen or the rise of the CO2. And then remember yourself how you acted. Mm-hmm. And then do it in this situation. Mm-hmm. Right. And it is very transferable, but also not. Because at the end, you also really have to do it. And, I stressed myself out a lot with, I have to practice, I have to do this, I have to do that. But actually, I realized the practice happens anyways. And by kind of dividing this, I think you actually lose the most important practice. And this is how you act with your environment and with the other people. And yes, I think this is where I want to see my results of the practice. how do I treat the other people, and not how long can I stay underwater or in the ice. How am I acting with my girlfriend, with my family? Because yes, then what's the use of it? Then other than that.
Yeah, I feel like what I said before, like having the end in mind, it makes such a big difference. I feel like, because subconsciously, if you start these practices, like also like the sweat lodge or going into the ice and all this stuff, especially as a man, right? Without a clear intention, but just to toughen up and to be a badass motherfucker, you will become that. You can do that, go that road. But also if you have from the beginning in mind, I want to do these practices in order that I can be a good partner, which doesn't get aggressive unnecessarily at my girlfriend, for example, then these practices will also like transfer into these situations. Of course, you have to remember it in these situations, but I think really it starts already in the earlier intention. I practice that, so I will remember there, and then some part of you will remind you, hey man, you got this. Relax now. You didn't die in the cold water, so you won't die right now because you have a little fight with your partner or you think your partner is annoying or whatever. It's like, you got this. Relax. Stay kind.
Yeah. It also just makes me think that, like, what you're saying, being a man and being tough, that anyway, if you go in the water, you said it before, you can go with like, I'm tough, I'm dealing with this, or like, I'm relaxing into this. And then there's so much softness. And I see that with you guys, like, you're strong men, but actually you're really soft. And it's all done with like a letting go and an ease.
Hopefully.
Oh, that's what it looks like, at least from the outside. But that's what it feels like for me, definitely, learning to let go more.
Right. Yeah, I mean, again, like, if you transfer it to everyday life, like, how do you want to go through life? Do you want to like fight everything all the time and like be tough and against and like grinding? Or do you want to do it with ease, effortless? I really like what you always bring up with animals, that they don't waste energy, right? But they're very efficient with everything. And the interesting thing is, like, like, if you think like, I have to fight to get stuff done, yeah, maybe you get a lot of stuff done, but you waste so much energy. And you can also get a lot of stuff done in a much easier way if you go with this strategy.
Yes. So I think, also the other way, the kind of this very destructive way of, I like to say, like the David Goggins way. Like, I don't want to talk bad about him, because there is a point to that, and I also try to bring this point. But also, like, being always at war with yourself, I think it brings you pretty good results, and you will get your goals done, and you will be very successful from the outside. But I think you have to be also very careful what's happening on the inside on the same time. And I have the feeling there's also another way of being, I don't know, like, let's say successful, or let's be in peace with yourself, in harmony, or even like get things done, live your daily life. And it's by this neutralizing way, being in harmony, not being in a war with this or with that, not opposing anything, just accepting the things and be at ease. And I think this is on the long way. Yeah, at least this is my orientation also for the retreats. Like, don't be at war with yourself. Like, of course, that's why we go into these situations with the eyes, or to learn how to be at ease with yourself when you're in the war. Yeah. For me, I know I want to go down that road. And you can also go down, I think you can just try for yourself, like always, like being hard to yourself and forcing yourself to do this. But just from what I can observe, it's, it feels very destructive.
I want to say something about it. What came to me was, like, there was a point in the retreat where I actually asked Max, like, should I do this? I was feeling like I had cramps, I need to get my period, like maybe this isn't the right thing. And Max and Michael were saying like, you have to feel it yourself. And it was such a good reminder also that like the mind makes stories up, but like if there's a deeper listening, if you really listen to yourself, then there's like the realization of like, actually, is it too much? Or actually, is it a story that I'm creating? And actually, do I need to do more right now? Because actually it would be more beneficial for me, which is really tricky to do.
Can I add something? Because it's a really tricky game, and I understand why a lot of people say I'm not my friend or I'm at war with myself, because we have a lot of destructive programs inside of us, and they realize this, and they notice, whoa, I don't want to do this, but I do it anyways, and I feel really good afterwards, which is absolutely true, I guess, in many situations, and also not to go like to fall on the other side, like no, I don't feel like this, and also like understanding that you will, there is no right way of doing it anyways, and the only I think the only way how to find out is again by observing yourself. How do I feel afterwards? How do I feel before? What are the changes? And you will do it many times wrong. And it's also really helpful to do it wrong, because we are not really in tune with ourselves, but we can learn it. And it's not something you just learn from one retreat or from half year spending I don't know where. You know, I think it's a lifelong practice to understand this. What is good for me and what is not so good for me. And for finding out this, you have to do it wrong many times. But what I think is useful to consider is what is the risk and the reward. So I don't know, like if I can gradually do things, and by that I will be able to kind of control the damage. You know, if you're not sure and it's a highly risky thing to do, then probably you should not do it, you know, like, because what's the reward? It's very little to what you risk. And if it's not if the risk is not so high, then you can just do it and you will find it out and you will feel afterwards if it was good or not. And this is the really cool thing about the cold and about the water. So you can push pretty much to the extremes with your body, because you don't really destroy your body. Yeah, of course you can. I know, but it's not like I'm lifting like really heavy weights and I go for it, because this will create a lot of damage inside of my body. For example, in the water, you can avoid much of this damage. Of course, you can drown and so on, but if you have your partner in check and you prepare yourself, you're really fine. The same with the cold. Yeah. So, yes, choosing those situations where you push yourself very wisely. Yes, and look for what is the risk, what is the reward. And I think it's good to have this in check.
Yeah, for me also a situation is coming up from the sweat lodge actually, because like I got to a point like in the first 3 rounds I was really okay. I was sitting, like most of the other people had to lie down, and I felt like, okay, I want to support everyone. I'm gonna sing for everyone and just sit straight. And then what Max told me before, but somehow I didn't believe it, he told me that in the cold it's very direct, but in the heat, the heat is sneaking up slowly, and then suddenly you feel like, oh fuck, no, it's too much. It's more like gradual increase. And then I had this moment where I feel like, fuck, it's too much. I cannot do this anymore. And I got a little bit emotional about it. And, you know, I got to this point where I was really not sure, should I go into the next round or not? We had planned to do 4 rounds. 4 rounds were over, and then Max said, let's do another round. And I was in this point like, do I go left? I had a little bit headache and thought like, yeah, maybe I just rest a little bit, right? And it was already so much, and like my heart is pounding. Or do I go to the right? Okay, I go more into the intensity and really try to find out what happens when I go to the point where I feel like I can't anymore. And I came to you and said like, I don't know what to do. Another participant just said in this moment, hey Michael, you can take power by making any decision. And this is the powerful thing to do. And both decisions are equally powerful. And it was great to hear this from me. And in the end, I decided to stay. And actually, the last round was no problem. It was the wall. We talked a lot about these walls that come up, this resistance that can happen in the challenge, but also before the challenge. And like I had in this case, the wall before the challenge started. And then the situation itself was beautiful. I had wonderful insights about my future, and like it was super helpful and had great rewards, and nothing bad happened. But the point I find really interesting in that is to come to these points where you really think like, I don't know what to do. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but also, Max, you told me, when people in the retreats get sometimes frustrated and are at this point and maybe get even angry at you that you brought them there, then they are exactly in the learning situation, because then you will make a decision and you will remember the results. If it doesn't matter to you, you will not remember the results. That's how I feel about it. But like if you're like, okay, I don't know, and then you do something and then you will learn from that. Was it too much or was it like too little? Right?
Yeah. You want to say something to that? Yes, because it's tricky, because it's actually pretty easy to make people frustrated, but it's not even the aim. Like I don't have it in mind. I want to make the people frustrated.
Of course.
It's the same in the sweat lounge. Like it's easy to make like a really hot sweat lounge, but you want to make it just doable. Just doable. And this is probably beyond the own imagination. So you limit yourself. And when a limit is too big, like you ask for something that is too far away, it will be demotivation.
Right.
And if it's just a little bit over, then the transformation is happening. And this is a very, very fine balance. A very fine balance. And yes, I think this is probably one of the most important things to learn, being in the teacher role, because you also have to use the opportunities of practice. They give you a space, a safe space. What's the point of staying in the safe space, always safe and in harmony? And no, you can really go into anger, into frustration, into being aggressive, into very difficult situations. But be very, very mindful about it, because it can completely get out of the control. Like this is probably the art also, like of holding the space. But I think this is why, for me, this is one of the reasons why I do it. I want to go to these places, because this is, I think, the most transferable things to life afterwards. If I stay, yes, we are not always kind. We are not always loving. And for me, it's also I don't want to pretend to be like this. And I think people can relate to this, because no one feels like this. Most people don't feel like this. Also, not Wim Hof, by the way. We saw a nice documentary yesterday, and you will see like there is no like those superhuman that are perfect, and we can go together to those places and holding space for each other, and seeing also this aggressive person, seeing this frustrated person, and by learning, well, people accept this in the circle. They give me the space to see myself as this aggressive person, or to see myself as the really selfish person. By that you will be able to transform it, because you are aware of it. And I think this is the only way how to really, be mindful also in those situations, because they're really emotional places. And suddenly we are in kind of an autopilot. We use our awareness, our consciousness not our consciousness, but we are like a robot in this moment. And when we want to, change it, we need to learn about it. These personalities, these program sets that are inside of us. And by that we will be able to create more peace, I guess, within ourselves, because we know these sides also, and also with the people around, because we get triggered all the time. So it's actually also really good to be triggered in the retreat. And I get constantly triggered by certain people, and I think we all do, but this is why I come, this is why I'm here. It's a game, like you create this bubble, it's a game. And in this game, you go to certain places. I thought you wanted to say something.
I had something, but...
Yeah, it's just a small thing that comes up to my mind. You said like to find these places where you challenge people a little bit. And it's really a little bit out of the comfort zone, but not too much. Otherwise, there's no real growth happening. It's just overwhelming, right? To find this thin line. And I liked what you said in the Sweat Lodge. If you go in and you go into like this feeling of being overwhelmed, and it doesn't change after a while, just go out, right? But if you go in and it feels a little bit overwhelming and you can ease into it, then it's the right dosage. Another thing, we were like recently in Canmore in the yoga studio, and the teacher said like in challenging poses, if you can relax your breathing after a while in these poses, then you can do them. But if you cannot relax your breathing, don't do them, because they are not the right thing for you right now. And I think that's a really, really good guidelines to look out for the challenges, but not blindly and in a stupid way. I don't know, like just like overwhelming yourself and damaging yourself, but finding the right right dosage.
Yeah. And also not to play small, like just the other direction. Going back to my trigger was like, I can't do it, but actually I could do it. So finding the balance between the two. Not playing too big, but not playing too small.
Yeah, right. It's the hardest. It's the hardest.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it is the beautiful thing about these challenges we create for ourselves. I mean, everybody's here voluntarily, right? Nobody was forced to come here. So we do this for fun and growth. And in these situations, we have control how big we make the trigger. And it's so useful because life will throw stuff at us where we don't have control about the intensity. Yeah. And then we have to deal with it, right? And to prepare in these small ways so we can grow our nervous system, the strength of the nervous system, can grow our mindfulness, can grow the network of people that will support us. I think it's amazing to do that. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe to explain like what you said with this, when this intense energy comes through you and you are not able to let go of it, you will create like a big traffic jam inside of your body, and this will just create a new blockage. So actually, you think you're going through it, but maybe this moment damages you more, and then you have to do the whole thing again, and it's not only what was there before, it's a new thing also there. So it's actually a step back, which is necessary very often, but just for the orientation. Yes, and this is the hard thing, like when is it, can I let go? And then you really learn about yourself and about your ego and about your tendencies and so on. And also you cannot just observe it by yourself, I think. You really, really, really need other people. Like, you cannot. It's just, I think it's almost impossible. Because we are always stuck in our own loop. And if we don't get the information from the outside, we don't stay fresh. And we will justify everything we do. And yes, I think, Rachel, you said this with Andrew Huberman. He said that, I know, or was it somewhere else? Doesn't matter. Like we always say the same things basically. Feldenkrais, Moshe Feldenkrais, right? He says the things we talk is it's nothing new. It's just things that are already there. Yeah. And I think of course, through the outside environment we get new impulses. But what's the craziest, most chaotic outside influence? It's another human. you know. It's so unpredictable. And because we don't even know ourselves. And by including other people in our own journey of growth, in our own practices, is probably the most powerful factor. And of course, you need to have a certain space for it. If you're in a competition mode, you're orienting towards a goal, towards a competition. But if the goal is to grow and to support each other, you will see it will change the whole game.
Rachel, I love you very much. And I saw...
What a way to start.
What a way to start. Yeah, it just like saw in this retreat. It's just my fantasy. You can tell me if it relates with you or not. If it resonates, right? So what I saw like you in this retreat, and also like you're pretty fresh Wim Hof instructor, and I saw like a spark in your eyes of like interest in this seminar stuff. You know, like, and this this transformation, this transformational practices, and like, like to see like potential in that. And so, first of all, I'm curious if that's true, or if it's just my fantasy. And second of all, like, I'm curious, like, if the spark would grow, and things would develop in good ways. Like, what would you like to create with this fire?
He's testing my stress levels. No, yeah. You got it right with the spark. I think I've been practicing the method now, like, 2 years?
Wim Hof method?
Yeah,
Yes.
2 years. And for me in the beginning, it was very, like, go in the ice for 2 minutes, come out of the ice, breathe for 15 minutes, stop. It was very, like, I don't know, not natural, but just like following a protocol. And I think in this retreat, something deeper happened. There was like a deeper understanding of the potential of the method, and also like a feeling in my body of like, oh, okay, actually now I'm feeling something. But it took 2 years to get to this point. And I think that was maybe the spark that like, oh wow, okay, I think I'm slowly starting to even begin to understand.
That you don't understand.
That I don't understand, exactly. That actually I know nothing, basically. Yeah. Yeah, and what I said in the sweat lodge, like, for me, I have the fear of taking myself seriously, but also what Max said was like there also needs to be more female leaders, and that really resonated with me. And if I could build up the capacity to like trust myself, then I would love to be able to bring more women into the field, because I feel this is such a great practice, and the potential to like trust yourself and actually do what the guys are doing. Like, why not? Who says you can't do what guys are doing? Nobody tells you that but yourself.
And the opposite also.
Right. And to break the stereotypes and the social constructs. So I would like to do that.
You're already doing it.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Max. Let's say this is the last podcast ever.
Maybe.
And this is the last opportunity to say something that will be in the internet and stay there, and people can listen to it. What is the first thing that comes up to you that you would share?
Yeah, it's pretty clear to myself. It's really that it's really the what we hear so many times, and we don't want to believe it. But like, it's really like your own limitations of your belief, your own openness of what is possible. This will really dictate, I think, also your own reality. And breaking down the walls to just be open, and but also having this intention of where do I want to go, you know, just by feeling how do I feel when I do this and that, and on a broader horizon, you know, like not just on a day, like on a practice, just what I reflect on my past 2 years. What do I feel? Where do I go? Do I want to go this way? Because I'm actually creating this way for myself. And then thinking about it, okay, well, if I don't want to go this way, I can always change. And it's in my hands. And I think no one else will come to make you, to pull you out of this. It's both. It's a burden and it's the very empowering thing. That is our own responsibility. And this is the power, actually. We have our self-responsibility. And by accepting this, which might be also very hard, and I understand everyone who is having a hard time with it. I'm also having a hard time with it because it creates some weight, but it also gives you all the freedom. And yes, this is, I think, yeah. Always try to get out of what you believe and change it and keeping it alive, transforming it all the time. When I observe the nature, this is what I observe. Like it's ever changing, ever adapting, and very, very beautiful also. Yeah.
You're also very beautiful. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for doing these things together. It's really means so much to me.
Thank you. And can I give this question back to you?
You can. Let's see what comes up for me. It's maybe very corny, but like seriously, what comes up for me, like love is the answer. Yeah. Love is the answer. I really believe in that because I feel like, these internal struggles everybody's having, including myself, the answer to that must be love. And like to start with yourself, or like for me personally, to start with myself and be compassionate with myself and tell myself, hey man, I got you, I'm here for you. And even when we go into challenges together, like me and my inner struggles, to not have this approach like, you asshole, go there, blah, 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 blah. But instead of, hey, come on, let's have an adventure. Right? Like this loving self-talk. And then my hope would be to generate that inside and then also be a part of generating it in the world.
And for you, Rachel? Same question.
Oy.
It's a good question, I think.
Yeah, it's good.
My last words?
Yeah. It's the last podcast. Even though it's the first.
Yeah. Okay. I think what comes to me is trust yourself and follow your intuition.
Yes. Beautiful.
Thank you guys. You're awesome.
Thank you. You're awesome too.
All right. That was the first episode.
Perfect.
I think it was great. Looking forward to more. Bye-bye.
Great.